So, hello everybody. I'm really happy to see you tonight. We are starting the new live session from our studios of TVO based in Italy, Rome, with summer studios also in South Italy. Partnership of IPI Nigeria and partnership with Edmund and the team of Chiduben Edmund. I'll say hello to the top team of Ibuni. And Ibuni e-learning platform is here, ready, and we are starting now here, ready, and we are starting now the AR, VR, MR version. We already started last week, so we will now continue with this method. So I will say hello to everybody. We are in our new studios. So let me fix the plant. You'll see the plant that's right. Okay. Yes, I think that looks better. So just a few minutes and we will let the others join. I would like to invite you to go through the content because we are really oriented to shape the course also live. We are hearing, we are listening, all your observations. So from this point of view, let's say we heard an observation about changing the time from 4 p.m. to now 8 p.m. Obviously, I think there were some reasons about regarding some students or workers who are also students regarding the time. Maybe changing the time is better so they can join, dedicate carefully their time to this course. Only a few minutes and we will start. We'll go through our slides and our chapters of augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So it is also important to share the link. So we are now, the audience is growing. I'm seeing a lot of people joining. So let's wait a couple of minutes. In the meantime, I will share the screen. Minutes. In the meantime, I will share the screen. Okay. So I invite everybody to start reading the content of this course. Last time I explained when you start and read the content, there's a checkbox here. Once you read it and you study and you finish studying the slide, let's say VR, it is really important to click. Once you finish to read and you finish to study the slide, it is really important to click mark as complete. Mark as complete. This will be registered in our database. And we will know all the people that are studying and all the people that began their own educational course and educational program. So once you will reach, let's say, 75%, then we will start doing some interviews, some quiz, and whatever. I had some observations of quiz. I would like to say that it was only a test. So what you found was only a test, a simple slide, which is only a test. So nothing to be worried about. I think that was something in the other course, not this one. There was a slide which was a quiz, but I was only testing, so you don't have to care about it. It's a work in progress, so we are learning all together the potential of this platform. Okay. Okay, so I think we can start. So let me stop sharing the screen. I just wanted to show the screen to explain that once you read the content, you should click the checkbox called Mark as complete. So let me go back to you. Here we are. Hello. So let's start. Seeing the people connected right now, I think that there's not a big change regarding the time. So we will think about that to maintain the same time or to use the time that was scheduled before. So personally, there's no big change. I'm seeing not a really higher level of people connected, but then we'll decide together what to do. Do you have any questions? You connected live with us. Any observations? So we have the chat activated. Any observations? So we have the chat activated. Precious Kinonso, good evening, Pro. Hello, hi. Let's dedicate these first moments. If you have any questions, any observations regarding our level basic of virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. If not, and start going through the slides. Another minute, and then we'll start. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So let's go through the content. Every time we will do virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. The term, so we are on chapter 1. The term virtual reality was coined in 1987 by Jaron Lanier, whose research and engineering contributed a number of products to the emerging technology of virtual reality. Let's go to the other slide. I have some also people who are connecting with the WhatsApp group. Okay. It is good to know that next time we will also create a WhatsApp group which will be dedicated to each course. And all the live sessions will not be open, but it will require you to be subscribed to the YouTube channel and to be registered as a student in the book live that you can find on the student's dashboard. So let's go through the other slide of chapter 1. It's a video that you can check carefully. It's a really good video. The next slide is future trends, also of chapter 1. Future trends talks about the evolution of these emerging technologies, which are not only used in the sector of gaming or entertainment or immersive cinema, but is now also used in other sectors like government sectors, like scientific sectors like NASA and whatever. Chapter 1 is history of virtual reality, which we will add later in the content. So let's do chapter 2 to repeat in a very, very fast way all the contents. So see again all the contents. So if you have, so you will refresh your memory if you have any questions. you can simply write it to us and we'll go through all the slides of all the chapters. So the origin of a virtual reality technology emerged in the 80s. And it was consisting of, as we said, also hardware devices like a head-mounted display, uh, glasses, data suits, and also data gloves. But as I said before, there's an emerging technology regarding also data skin, a wearable skin, something to, it's like a suit. So when another player touches its own skin, you'll see, you will feel the touch of the other player from the other side of the world. So as you see, emerging is research on these technologies is really, really fast. The origin of a virtual reality. Many devices are crazy powerful virtual reality hardware systems that were coined from the ideas sparked back in the 19th century. As we saw before, there were many experiments of how to engage the observer. Panoramic paintings, like we see here, that were focusing on the perspective of the viewer. So the depth of the eye of sight looking at the painting. And it was really easy to show a flat design. But when you talk about paintings, everything is engaged regarding eye navigation and the depth of sight. So we're talking about the perspective. But that was not enough, absolutely. Was not enough. They wanted to engage more. So what did they do? They discovered more devices. For example, in 1838, uh, there were some kind of glasses like we are seeing here. Uh, those and viewers. So in 1838, Charles Wheatstone invented this oscilloscopic viewer, trying to create an immersive environment. Something happened also in the high-tech empire called Google with the so-called cardboards. We saw something like this around a long time ago. Let's see what happened in 1929. There was some kind of experiment regarding experience simulation was made to create, let's say, virtual reality immersive experience. For which reasons? The reason was to training reasons of pilots and training reasons today regarding the preparation of U.S. military departments and many others. So we're talking about how to use immersive technology to train specialist pilots from the civil sector and to train personnel from the military sector. So the secret is to train in immersive environments. In the 1960s, there were also some scientists and some developers that invented prototypes. One of the most famous were called Sensorama, but they never reached the scale production. These were only prototypes. Let me check if there's any question on the WhatsApp group. So, as we said before, in 1969, there was also another experiment of Myron Kruger that began developing this kind of, he developed a prototype, the helmet, and but also this experiment, this prototype never reached scale production. really interesting slides. Uh, the other chapter. The other slide of chapter 2. Uh, we talked about the science, the scientific sector. Before we were talking about how military sector was using these kind of immersive technologies, but also the scientific sector. NASA started to use this kind of technology. NASA, being a pioneer in technological advancement, has integrated virtual reality into various operations and researches. One of the most important applications of virtual reality in NASA was the training of astronauts. So, as you see, it is an emerging technology. We can also say dual technology. Dual means that covers two sectors, civil and non-civil, can be military, defense, or others. Let's now see the difference, NASA and Verna. But not only NASA, also other agencies are getting near to these kind of technologies. Like the European Space Agency, ESA, they started to build immersive rooms, immersive spaces to start training their personnel. For example, um, there's a big experiment of NASA that which has a name, as we see here. The project aimed to test the remote and space vehicles using virtual reality interfaces based on haptics, which simulate touch and motion. So when we talk about the concept, let's stop for a minute. Stop sharing. Let's go live. Okay, so here we are back. When we talk about haptics, we are talking about touch and motion. Is around the world using immersive environment technologies, NASA, ESA, European Space Agency, and many others. The reason is to train, so to train their pilots, to train their personnel. I would like to ask you if you have any kind of question on the chat, because we also activate the chat. And we will also like to hear some questions, see some questions and some observations from your side. Because as I told you before, this is a co-thinking space and a co-working space and a sharing experience space. And so we must also share our experience with all the students and with all the workers following these courses. Regarding to change the time, but I don't see quite a big difference regarding the people following. So at least we will wait another live session. It is worth to leave this time or to change it and to switch it back again how it was. But anyway, for this week we will keep it with this new timing. No questions, so let's go back to the slides. I'm going to share the slides again just to check if we have any questions on the. So we have activated a chat on the YouTube. Okay, let me share now. I'm sharing my screen, so we will go and see the slides. Okay, now let's begin chapter 3. Okay, AR educational apps. AR educational apps are powerful learning tools that boost engagement and motivation. When you use AR educational apps and tools, and desire of students and workers to go through a course. We will then see some examples. Let's continue to read. Emotional apps can be used for spark engagement, visualize, go deeper into hidden layers and systems and obviously concepts, tell stories. Also, storytelling is a huge sector to engage the audience, get students moving and exploring, and obviously online resources. Now let's see the other slide of chapter 3. What is augmented reality? Augmented reality refers to the real-time integration of digital information into a user's environment. So what does this mean? So let's stop for a minute and let's talk about this concept. Integration, real-time integration of digital information. So what does this mean? Real-time integration of a physical reality. It means adding layers of information. It's like having this screen. Then you see a block, a digital block, where I can touch some objects, and you'll see exploded information. So a block that opens and boosts and bursts like a flower, giving more information after an interaction action. So in other words, in the immersive real space of the user, augmented reality adding more information layers or blocks of information. These blocks are then open, expanded, in other words, exploded, after a haptic action, a touch, a click, and a motion. Let's now check some questions or some kind of observations. So I'll say hi to Obuja. There's a question of Dr. Charity. Dr. Charity, he's saying, are there applications of these immersive technologies in teaching and learning about abstract and complex science concepts? Of course, there are applications of these immersive technologies, but there's also a limit. For example, I am explaining with you some content of some slides of a course, and it is not so easy to build a studio to do online e-learning courses. You can imagine how can be a bit difficult to platforms, also immersive online applications live. So I think that during live, owing to connectivity problems, owing to the attention that the instructor or professor like me has to give to the audience, cannot be really easy to use at the same time during a live. We can use these applications, we can use these tools along the learning curve of a course. So in other words, after a live session, you can download an app, go through the course, and you can interact with the content, and you can interact with other educational advisors, instructors, or specialists. But doing all together during the live session is a bit tricky. So I suggest when it's live, in audience engagement and audience development is enough, because in these spaces, we need to understand we need to understand if it is easy to understand. In other moments during the program, so during the learning curve, you can use other tools, included immersive applications, but you can do it by yourself. It's not difficult. Today, you download an app, install it, and it has a wonderful, easy graphic user face, which respects worldwide standards. Worldwide standards are usually called GUI, Graphic User Interface. So, in other words, you can use these apps by yourself with no explanation at all, with no instructor, with no professor, with no teacher. Let's see another question, also by Dr. Charity. Can they be, yes, as I said, obviously, but not during a live session. Hello to Peace Aller. I'd like to say another student member of our community. We are trying to train and trying to share our experience. So we have a long experience as knowledge workers, a long experience as developers. So we are here to share this sharing experience with you. Okay, let's go back to the slides. In the meantime, you can write the questions. So I'm sharing now my screen again to go through the other slides. Okay, so we are on chapter 3. Now, there is something really interesting, the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality. So what is the difference? What is the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality? Both technologies are known for their enriched that brings together a virtual world with the real one enhanced. Augmented reality. Almost anyone can get access to augmented reality. So any person with a smartphone can get access to augmented reality, making it more efficient than virtual reality. Let's see the definition of virtual reality. To a level by producing a new world generated by a computer. These simulations usually require special equipment, such as a huge computer, powerful computer, sensors, headsets, data gloves, and as we said before, wearables, so data skills. But we said before that augmented reality can be generated only by a smartphone. So it is more easy to use augmented reality. But for which purpose? The purpose is to generate information and to add a layer of information into a real situation of the user, or to generate a block of information, or a layer, or a block. Regarding so I'm going to switch back live. Here we are. Okay, so I'm back live, and I would like to read the chat because we have a chat. So Dr. Charity is thanking me for the explanation, but this is only the beginning. I would like to say that we left the development stage of our platform only 2 weeks ago. We are now launching the digital architecture of this platform. This digital architecture is something really new. We don't want to let you read books, or we don't want to be compared to a university online. No, this is something more. This is a creative hub. This is where information, knowledge is shared with all the members of this community. It's a co-thinking space. Co-thinking means that while I talk, I will trigger your creativity. While I talk and you are listening, you can also build new visionary worlds. So it is something that triggers your imagination. It's something that triggers your creativity. Co-thinking, co-working will be the next step. After having this great discussion, then we will focus our time on creative labs, building projects, yes, to transform the end user, the member of this community, in this digital community, and to change him in a power user. Power user means how to build projects that will shape your local community. So how will shape your society. This means that the focus of Ibuni e-learning platform is to build a cluster. A cluster is the first foundation of a smart city with smart citizens. In all this process, I'm the mastermind sharing my personal experience of the last and over 25 years around the world. So, Ibuni is a place to share knowledge, share experience, a place of co-thinking, co-working to trigger imagination and creativity. Our own most talented creative mind. Let's see another question on our chat. So, another question on our chat. Stanley is saying that the sound must be a bit more better. I can fix something. Okay, maybe this can work. Maybe this can work. So there's another question regarding Prof, does it mean that external devices like the headset, eyeglasses, etc., are not used in augmented reality? So only smartphones can be used. Those devices are built. The devices of headsets, glasses are built to switch your mental state, the transition of your mental state, leaving your real world to enter into a digital world. What happens is that there's a mysterious action of your brain that pushes you to a digital environment. So it's a change of the mental state of transition. So when we talk about these devices, headsets, data gloves, wearables, this is all the equipment to dive into a digital environment. On the other side, augmented reality uses a tool, a small smartphone like this, to generate the layers of information, to generate blocks of information, which can be inserted into a virtual world. So this is like a tool that generates information that can be added into a virtual world. The devices that we said before, headset, the eyeglasses, the data gloves, and the skin is all the hardware and software necessary to assist the experience of a digital transition, not our body. We have a physical body. The physical body is left in the real world. All these devices have to replace the physical body. So we are creating the digital cloud. We will go back about these concepts. We will go back because I I did a lot of research regarding the mental state of transition. I can say also in the past centuries, there were famous books talking about the three worlds. Three worlds. Um, the three worlds. The first one is the real world. The second one, um, the three worlds. The first one is the real world. The second one is the digital world. The third world is the result of the physical real world and the digital world. So we will go back about these concepts. When we talk about the information society, when we talk about age, we are talking about the three worlds. The three worlds are real physical world, digital world, the combination and the effects of these two worlds generate the third world. The third world is something really, it has a higher level of hyper complexity. But we will go back on these concepts. So let me now go through the slides because time flies, and I'm going to share the screen again. You can continue to write questions if you want. Hello, okay. Now, this is the first time we're gonna chapter 4 and some slides of chapter 4. What is mixed reality? Reality was coined by Milgram and Kishino in a paper in 1994. 4 was the beginning of the digital infrastructure in the most advanced economies. In 1994, US President Clinton were talking about the highways of information with Gore, Vice President. In 1994, Clinton and Gore were talking about the highways of information. They were starting to build the digital architecture before. Mixed reality is a term coined by Milgram and by Kishino in a paper called Taxonomy of Mixed Reality Devices in 1994. And as we said before, the most advanced economies like the USA and others started to build the digital architecture of the society that we know now. Mixed reality is a hybrid technology that merges with virtual stimuli. It includes augmented reality and virtual reality technologies. Let's go to the other slide, mixed reality. Let me see if there are some questions on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So mixed reality is different from augmented reality and virtual reality in the context of how objects are overlaid and presented. Virtual reality is a sense through devices. So virtual reality needs hardware equipment. Augmented reality only needs smartphone. Mixed reality is generated by both. So it is good to go through the slide of chapter 4 to understand better of mixed reality. We will dedicate our last 10 minutes for some and for any questions to understand. So we will go now through the last 2 slides, and then we will dedicate at least 10 minutes to close this live session. So, mixed reality architecture. Let's say that mobile augmented reality today offers many solutions. What does that mean? It means that we can download apps on our smartphone, and we can use our smartphone to generate structured in virtual world. Let's go to the other slide, because time flies. So when we talk about digital architecture, we are talking about space registration. Space registration means the coordinates of the virtual world and the real world, so that the virtual object and the real time form have a correct spatial perspective relationship. In other words, that adding coordinates between virtual world and the real world is really important, because when we put matching of the two spaces, the digital space and the real space. Hardware facilities. As we said before, virtual reality requires a heavy digital equipment. So tracking cameras, webcams, data gloves, so a heavy digital equipment. Augmented reality requires only. So in mixed reality, it is the addition of both. Let's see the concept of space building. A mixed reality space is the state of virtual objects in real space, the rules that objects follow, and the relationship of space is a space where there must be a perfect alignment of the objects between the real space and the virtual objects. So we're talking about alignment. Everything must be perfectly. If this is not happening, there will not be a human-computer interaction. So interaction between the user and the virtual object. So let me go back and stop. This was a slide of digital architecture. The last slide of we are on chapter 4. We're on the slide design thinking. Okay. Why do we need a design thinking approach? Design thinking as a tool could be such a different efficient in a concept of digital transformation. So what happens when we build a digital world is that we are switching concepts coming from a real world and transforming them into a digital world. So is taking place. We will go back through these concepts. Go through some processes. One of the most important processes is called proof of concept. Proof of concept is when we build for the digital world, but we have to prove that this prototype, that this object is matching perfectly what the end users wants, and must match perfectly how the end users wants to use these objects. In some cases, it is not enough. So development and we are now ending this explanation of the slide. A proof of concept is the first stage. The second stage is called minimum viable product. What is a minimum viable product? It is something that the marketplace can require, because end users, so consumers, are looking at that solution used in their behavior. So let's stop now, then we'll go back through these concepts next time. We reached chapter 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we took a look to some slides. Right now I'm on the slide 6, but then we'll go back. Some people joined, and I think there's a question. Dr. Charity says, real physical world digital world and the effect of real physical digital world. The lesson is getting more interesting, Prof. The interesting, Prof. The concepts are getting explanation. As I told you before, this is an incremental process. An incremental process means we are launching tiny stones into the pond. A pond is not a lake, it's a pond. What can come back? If I'm able to explain these concepts in an easy way, some small concentric waves can come back. But if I match your attention, if I match your desire of knowledge, what are coming back are absolutely not tiny waves. If I'm able to excite your interest, what can come back can be a tsunami of interest. So in the AIDA model, AIDA means attention, interest, desire, attraction or activation. We will go back through the AIDA model. It is difficult to transfer some concepts from the keynote speaker to the audience. We cannot throw a huge amount of concepts. We must give carefully a concept to the audience, hand by hand. Okay, this is a brick. I give you a brick, but you must build a wall. So this is our approach, okay? And we will go back through all the concepts to build all together this huge wall of knowledge. The sector, the science that we are going through is the science in which our society is based. We are living into digital society. But there's a lot to say what happened in the last 100 years. We will talk quickly next time about the Circle of Vienna, 1920. It was a movement, a cultural movement, and they put the basics of our society. So we're talking about 100 years ago. Who were the members of this circle, this local community based in Vienna? The members were people that won Nobel Prize, Einstein, or the famous math Kurt Gödel, another huge mind. So all these people were coming from different sectors. They were joining their common vision, but coming from different sectors. What I'm trying to explain here, I want to join your interest, even if you're coming from different sectors. And maybe you can switch your experience between each other. Switch your experience between each other to drop a stone into this pond. And who knows, maybe a huge tsunami can come back. And we can build in your neighborhood the next Circle of Vienna to build something really big, which can be a cluster. A cluster is the first foundation of a smart city with smart citizens that know very well how to handle technology and science. So thank you for your time. Now we have last 8 minutes. So I'm open for any questions because within a couple of minutes, this live session will end. Next time we will talk about the high-tech empires, how they became so big, talking about Google, Facebook, but also the high-tech empire platforms. You can say why it is important, because there's a convergence of technologies between internet and new emerging technologies. The example of Meta World, launched by the high-tech empires. So not only Facebook, but also Google, which is giving connectivity. So with cables. You should know that the internet is given in three ways: by cables on land, sea cables, and satellite services. Now, I think it is time to end this live session, go through the content of the course, and once you read it and you understand the content, you have to click on the checkbox, and as I told you before, mark as complete. So we will see the work in progress of all our. If you have any questions, I would like to say that this is only the beginning of really, really interesting journey, a really, really interesting educational journey, where I will simply share my personal experience. And I hope that launching these small stones into the pond, not tiny waves, but huge tsunamis will come back and wet everybody. And we will all become members of this cluster, the foundation of a smart city, where we will have smart citizens, not end users, but power users. Thank you very much for your time. See you next time. Bye.